Hi, this is Philip Brown, also known as Big Stroke, as you can see flying overhead. I'm the director of this film, and this is my first director's commentary, so please bear with me. And the film, of course, is, wait for it, The Haunter of the Dark. Yes, H.P. Lovecraft's cool little story. Now, this opening sequence was actually the last scene that I filmed. I did pretty much everything in order, except for this one scene which I came back and did after I'd done everything else. Originally it was going to be an overhead shot of what you're seeing now, basically the monster escaping from the church. But instead I decided to just use the footage that I had of the scenes and put this text in there for the credits. Now I was a bit concerned when I was trying it out that it was going to look a bit corny, having the text actually in there. But I think it came out pretty good. And oop, there goes the monster. Quick, just a little glimpse. Don't want to give too much away. I actually slowed the camera down just so you wouldn't see that in this particular version of the shot. Scene 1. I'm going to highlight the fact that this film is very dark. And I was afraid that it was going to be too dark, and it still is, I think, too dark. And people have different monitors and different TVs, whatever they're watching it, and I know even on my TV it comes out a bit darker than I'd like, but still, it is a dark film. It is The Haunter of the Dark. So I just had to put up with it.
I'll get the light.
Uh-oh, don't turn that light. Don't turn the light. Blake, what happened to you?
What happened to him?
Yeah, see, just like Jet City Woman just said there.
Oh, that's holy.
That's Cecil there, of course, and here's Killian.
Those burns. Doctor, have you ever seen a victim?
Yeah, I spent a bit of time on this guy's face, Blake, of course, his burnt face.
With the window unbroken.
It's
something
I actually had to come back and redo at the end. Strangely enough, you get satisfied with something, then you come back to it, in my case, 2 years later, and you think, oh, I can do a little bit better than that. And actually, I had to change it in some ways because I changed a bit at the end of the film where he gets some marks on his cheek, and I want to make sure they were reflected in this scene as well, so I actually had to come back and reshoot this.
My name is Blake. Robert Harrison Blake, of 620 East Knapp Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am on this planet.
And now we start the flashback, which is basically the bulk of the film. Is one big flashback to Blake's history, all from the perspective of his diary. Some fun facts here. iclone, of course, has these particle emitters for snow. This shot here, most of the shots here have got about 10 seconds of unusable footage before them, where everyone's just sitting waiting for the snow to slowly fall down. Now, this is actually one of my favourite shots. This is actually all done completely with an iclone. Everything's faded in just on the timeline, just using opacity. I think it came out pretty nicely. Just that nice. There he is, he's just moved in. And now, of course, we get our first real glimpse of the church, at least from Blake's point of view. Try to establish that link between him and this building off in the distance. I had some fun setting up the animations for this guy, and his painting and his writing. And while Blake looks at the sunset, I'll just quickly mention Ricky Grove, who of course does the voice of Robert Harrison Blake. Brilliant job, of course, and he makes the film. Of course, he did the sound design as well, which is brilliant. And I believe he's doing his own commentary for that, so I look forward to that as much as everyone else, I'm sure. Coming up is a shot where he puts a hat on his head. You'd think that would be fairly easy to do, wouldn't you? I think it took me 3 days to get the shot right. I imported a BVH file from Carnegie Mellon and modified it and hand animated his movements plus moved the hat so it went in the right place. I think I changed the size of the hat. Just crazy stuff. Now we have Blake in the streets of Federal Hill, Again, you may have noticed the truck and the little bird flying in the background. Just little things I like to do to add a little touch of realism. Here's my friend Folkster as the shopkeeper. This is a scene that I shot several times over. I had to change the lighting at one stage. Then I changed some of the props, the fruit in the background, for instance. I didn't like the prop that I originally chose. And then at the end I put this door frame in behind him just to add that little touch, because it was just a square hole, which wasn't very good. So a door frame makes it look more like a building. Yeah, we get some Italian. Thank you to Google Translate for serving me well there. Apparently it was correct, according to Cecil, I believe. Now we kick back out into the streets where we have to do a bit more walking around, don't we? Now this is something I like about doing horror films. You get to do fun camera angles, or that's my excuse for doing fun camera angles. I mean, look at someone's feet while they're walking along or staring from directly above. It's not something you do that much in like a comedy film. In this case, I'm going to talk about the lighting, because here's the church. Wonderful, fantastic, here's a nice close-up of it. But when I started doing the dialogue that's just about to come up here, I started noticing some what's that word again? Irregularities with the lighting. So as I spent a day or so really just trying to perfect the lighting technique that I was going to use. Because some of the shadows had bad edges. They're not perfect now, but they're about as good as I can get them. Hoping iclone 5 actually makes that better. Hint, hint.
Priest warns against discussing it.
But I do enjoy this part of it. I like the fact that his eyes come into the light there. That was a nice little thing. I didn't really set that up. It just came out that way. It's one of those fortuitous things.
Whatever do you mean?
It said an outlaw sect took over the place.
Now, to show a bit more of an obsession of Blake, little subtle things like just having his vision drift off to keep looking at the church all the time. Of course, there's the ominous sound in the background just to keep us all going.
I'm not saying it's true, but there's something wrong there. Leave it well alone.
And there's one of those ubiquitous rats throughout this film.
I get to the bottom.
Mark my words.
I don't know why I put so many rats in. Maybe I just like rats.
But officer, please.
Now this courtyard in front of the church was an interesting one to put together. I had a lot of fun getting that fountain there, which seems to pop up a lot in the shots throughout the film. Briefly touch on the music for this too, and I'm quite pleased with the way how I got the music to come out for this film. I was a bit afraid I wasn't going to be able to do it, but perseverance, a couple of weeks of sitting down and doing it worked out pretty good. Now you'll notice this little hand gesture of hers, and you probably may have noticed that the shopkeeper did the same thing. This is something that was mentioned in the short story that I wanted to introduce as well. I'm not really sure if I got it right. I just made something up. It almost looked like they were doing that little round the ear thing for a loco, but hopefully it didn't quite come out that badly. Notice a little glimpse of an unk back there on the headstone. Hint that this church isn't quite what you think it is. Boom. Now we're in the church. Change of music here. Quite deliberate. Just trying to get you in a different feeling. Now I don't know if anyone really noticed this, but each of these little shafts of light is actually animated. There's little motes of dust spinning around there. This is something I added at the end. I'd wanted to do it at the start, but for some reason I couldn't or didn't do it. But I thought it looked pretty nice. Oh no, look at these horrible books. The Necronomicon. Must be a bad place. They've got horrible books like that in it. Blake, nosy as ever, gonna get himself in trouble. Of course, there's the door there, and look, it's a rat. Maybe I should have done the rats in the wall or something. That might have been more my speed. Alright. Here we go, up the stairs. One of those fun things. This animation is actually taken from the bridal walk. Notice he's doing one step at a time. A rather odd way to go upstairs. Now here's one of my favourite shots in the film that sort of just came out. First of all, it starts off as Blake's point of view, and then camera stops and he walks forward. And I thought that worked out quite nice, because now the camera follows him around. Even if I do say so myself. Alright, the shining trapezohedron. I believe that's the way it's pronounced. I'm glad that both Ricky and Goofbraid got to say it and not me. It's a mouthful. And yes, another rat. I'm sorry, I think that's the end of the rats. And here we have the wonderful Goofbraid
Professor Enoch Bowen
as the reporter.
from Egypt, May 1840.
And this is a fun scene to put together.
Free Will Church in July. His archaeological
Just kind of cool idea, I thought, to just have what he'd found laid out in a sort of abstract kind of way. It gives you something to watch while you listen to Goofbraid read basically the text off those pages that fly past.
1848.
I'm going to give a little shout out to Mark Pleasant at this stage too. I had some trouble with the opacity maps that I used on these pictures. If I just used it in the full 100% size, you'd see the very edge of those parts that I cut out. And he happened to put up something in the forums about just increasing the size of the opacity map, just slightly larger than the real picture, and that eliminated that problem. So thank you, Mark. Much appreciated.
1877. Church closes in April. Ghost stories begin.
And you might hear a ding, ding, ding.
No human being has entered.
There we go. That's the church's signature in the music. I really wanted to have something that said this is the church. Of course, church bells, duh. But there's something that was unique to the church. Now here's an interesting shot. This is a much larger version of the prop that you see in the room. I did that deliberately so I could get the depth of field, because that's something that works better. Depth of field works much better if you use a much larger prop. And Ricky did a good job with the sound here. You made this work much better than it did without the sound, because every time it flashes to the bigger picture, it's got this little psh, psh, and that really worked nicely. Boom. And coming up here is a shot that I had immense trouble with, and I ended up having to fix it up in post-production. This one. He's running and click, his hat falls off. That's fine, but right in the middle of that, for some reason iClone made him do this 90-degree turn for one frame. I don't know why. I couldn't fix it. I tried to keyframe it one frame at a time. Did not work. So I ended up having to cut that one frame out. Now the next few shots are basically Blake investigating, studying. The bird shot here, this one almost got cut, but I liked it so much that I made sure it was in there. And besides, there's quite a few references to birds avoiding the church in the story. I thought it needed to be in there.
I'm both awed and disconcerted.
Now Ricky has just started one of the longer monologues for the film, where he details the background of the Haunter of the Dark and the trapezohedron. Of course, I needed to put some background in there, some visuals to match it all. Because I've got the lovely sunset again. I've put the little orb trapezohedron on top, with flashes to the church and the lights that are there, just reinforcing everything that's being said. That's what I was really trying to get to here, was that I wanted to show civilizations throughout time. So I went into Google Warehouse and got all these key pieces from Earth civilizations from over the years. centuries,
changing hands throughout centuries.
and stuck them on this huge sphere and basically span it.
It was unearthed
Don't
in
have
an
it flying
ancient
past the camera
windowless
just
crypt
to
built
match
by
what was being
Pharaoh
said.
Ifrin-Ka. Finally, Professor
And
Enoch
a slightly more mundane thing coming up is the newspaper, which is just about to go slamming onto the desk, which I went to a little bit more trouble to having the little piece of paper flying off in the distance. Had a lot of fun doing the headlines. If you look, there's some extra little things written down there. You'd have to probably pause it to be able to read them all. That's just the kind of thing that I like to do, those little details. Now, coming up shortly, we're going to lose power, and we're going to have what really is meant to be a pitch black shot, but of course that doesn't work too well on a film. Not much good having a pitch black screen. So this is where I did the little blue light, this little dull light, just enough so you can see him. Pretty much did the same thing at the church too, just enough so you can still see the church. Now this shot, didn't script this originally, these shots from the monster's point of view. Something I thought was necessary as I was filming it. So I came up with this idea of doing the negative, because he's from a different universe and he sees things in a different way. And of course you got the nice little eye overlay. And the crowd there, this was a monstrous shot to put together, just all these people. Just so many people, and just becomes very difficult. There you go, there's that little hand sign again that I was talking about before. And the lights come back on, and boom! Added a few sound effects there for the sound of the creature going, bumping back up into the tower. This is where the music works out nicely too, because Blake's got his hands on the window, he puts his head down there. Dude. That's me trying to be musical. Now, shortly we'll have another interesting shot that proved to challenge more in the music than anything else. This is where Blake gets a little bit ticked off and tosses the newspaper across the room. Well, this is a pretty cool idea. But when I came to do the music, I came up with this horrible sounding thing, which Ricky suggested I change it, and I think he was 100% correct. What you're listening to now is the final version, of course, and it's okay. It's much better than the first couple of versions, so yeah, just one of those troubles you have. That was probably the hardest part of the music, was this one shot. But anyway, we've got the... I hope people can read what's going on here. I mean, I've done it, watched it so many times, I'm just assuming people are actually reading the headlines and getting an idea of the story. And we have another one. This wasn't really scripted either, this shot. It's kind of a variation on that earlier shot that I enjoyed. But the music again helps that shot work out well too. You can hear the music going down, just kind of like his brain's going down, because he's really kind of losing it at this stage. And now we've got Blake walking around in a trance with apparently no eyes, or very black eyes, as he's possessed by the creature. Walking around in his dressing gown with bare feet, and there's the fountain again. It's almost as prevalent as the rats. This is something I like to do in the church too. I do a lot of camera angles. I mean, there's just tilt it slightly to one side, either going in motion or just a static shot, just to keep it all weird. And ooh, what was that? It's the creature itself. He was a fun creature to put together. It's got dragon wings. Killian supplied me with these props. These Cthulhu tentacles and this big head. And then you've got the little shadow there in the background. It's almost the shadow that touches him and sears those little marks on his face, which you'll see up in the shower scene here, which is what the purpose of the shower scene was, just to highlight these little marks on his face. And of course he's obviously distraught at this stage. Seen a lot of crap. Poor old Blake. Now the fun begins. Lightning. Not a good sign. Not back in those days. Got the power going out. I had to really highlight the fact that we were losing power.
I must speak to
Apart from
someone
the
in
fact that he
charge.
says it right now.
Listen, you must not lose
Again, this is
power.
something where I've got
You do
something
not
going
know
on
what
one
is at
side,
stake.
and I'm really just trying to show the church in the
Hello?
background there.
Hello?
And the lights going off.
Hello.
And very quickly, this phone going down, that was a lot of fun to put together. I tried to make it look real by doing that little roll thing that it did at the end. The flexible cable. Physics before iclone 5. Gotta love it.
God help me.
Uh-oh.
Lights still out.
Now,
Must be 5 minutes.
here we've got a candle.
Everything
It's
is
just lit.
lightning. The things taking hold
I
of my mind.
went to a lot of trouble to make the light source. There's actually 2 light sources above that candle flame flicker, so it's actually in motion entirely throughout that scene.
What am I afraid of? It is not an
And I tried to
avatar.
steal a bit of,
Not Hotep.
oddly enough, something from Lord of the Rings where they do the Gollum versus Smeagol shots, the 2
I
different.
remember Yuggoth.
Tried to do it from 2 different sides of his face to show the 2 different worlds, the 2 types of thinking that he's going through. One is like, I'm in trouble, and the other one is like, hey, this is good. I like being the haunter of the dark. Of course, all mixed with the scene of the crowd there, and they starting to lose all their light because of the rain.
Harrison Blake of 620 East Knight
After this
Street,
crowd scene, I
Wisconsin.
introduced a couple of the other characters back into it, the shopkeeper and the policeman. And I've got the priest there, who's the only one sensible enough to have an umbrella.
I can see
Very sensible priest.
everything with a monstrous sense.
Of course, we get to see the monster's point of view as he's screaming around inside the church.
Sense of distance.
At the same time, Blake is
Far is near.
battling himself.
Near is far.
Not quite sure which way he wants to
And
go.
mad. Oh, going mad.
Here's the dark side of him.
And it
You
is
see the
I.
mark of the beast on his face there.
Want to get out. Must get out and unify the forces.
Coming up in a moment,
It
you'll
knows
see
where I am.
a long camera shot of, I think I've cut it up, where it arcs around his face.
Robert,
But I went to a lot of trouble to animate his face.
well, I
It's
see
subtle,
the tower in the
little
dark.
his eyes, his eyebrows. It's just trying to look
There is a monster.
like there's a lot of anxiety going on, which obviously there is meant to be.
Transfigured. Boarding at the tower window.
And we're
cracking
just about to see the
giving away.
creature in,
Yeah.
I guess, in the flesh for the first time. I actually obscured it quite deliberately with a very black
Here,
particle emitter.
Elwyn, Titan Blue.
And there, Titan Blue. Apparently that's incorrect. Apparently it is Titan Blur, which I did not pick up on until after the film had finished, and I'm sorry. I got a word wrong. And that last candle shot I was quite pleased with too. That was more particle emitters, turning one off and turning another one on that was actually going sideways and turning it off very quickly. Just simple little things, just to make it just a little touch. Now here we have K4 in his short role as the coroner's physician. And of course Dexter again, played by Seth Levin. And a very untalking Blake. I don't know why, maybe because he's dead.
It's
With his
not
pencil clutched in his
unreasonable
hand.
to conclude a profound nervous shock derived from an electric discharge.
Well, sir, I would
Now,
have to
the
disagree
conclusion.
with your findings. My own conclusion is vastly
I-
different, and I intend to
I had
act
to
on
make
it.
sure this was fairly quick. This is something that Ricky suggested. Because the film's basically over now, we're just concluding everything. So I got Dexter into his car and quickly to the church. Made him do a couple of things that Blake had done, such as jump into the basement, do a little exploring, and look at the trapezohedron, which is probably not a very wise thing for him to do. There we go, walking to the ferry, carrying that little box. It's all fairly easy to do. More details there, just a little bird flying out in the distance. And in a moment we get to see the splash, which came out pretty good. And at this point, Dexter was meant to recite that poem from the beginning. But in the end, it looked better just to show his face and have this weird music going on. And actually, talking of music, this is actually probably my favourite part of the music. So it went a little bit weird, went a bit different. And you can hear it sort of going down and down and down with the monster, or the trapezohedron. And then, boom, last little flash of the creature as it escapes into the depths of the dark. And there we go. That was The Haunter of the Dark. I hope you enjoyed it. Special thanks to Richard Grove. Did an outstanding job in his voiceovers and the sound design. Of course, thanks to the rest of my cast as well. Cecil as Dr. Dexter. I'll just work my way through. Of course, there's Killian as Patrolman Monahan. Folkster as Shopkeeper Franco. And even though you don't really see him, Goof Braid was Edward M. Lillybridge, the reporter. And of course my lovely wife, Jet City Woman, as the student, Miss Marsh. She was also a phone operator, but that scene got a little abbreviated. And K4 as the coroner's physician. And there's a little sneaky picture of the beast. And don't forget the crowd. Even though you don't really hear them, all these people contributed to the crowd scenes. So, once again, thank you very much. I hope you got something out of this. And onward and upward. Time for my next film. Thank you very much. Big Strick, signing out.